For the record, can I get your name?
Yeah, first name Alex, last name Gazalpur. I'm the current police chief.
Gazalpur, you're the current police chief
Yes.
of Arvin, California?
Yes.
Okay. Did you also use a different last name before in the past?
No, it's always been Alex Gazarian Gazalpur.
Okay. We do have an article that we found, and we're going to address that today as well.
That's completely it. Thank you.
I'm here to talk to you about a situation here that's going on in my city. I'm Enrique Zuniga. I'm from Arvin, California. I lived here for about 32 years of my life. I lived here my whole life.
What's up, guys? It's David with San Joaquin Valley Transparency. Recently, we did some work locally, and I kind of connected with a lot of people around here. I started to find out some stuff that was going on out here, and the stories that people were telling me are just kind of mind-blowing. You know, some of these folks are saying, hey, man, thank you for coming out this way and trying to help our community. And like working locally is it feels different. You guys are about to see a story of a man who has a lawsuit with a tow truck company who is kind of entwined with the police department. Looks like there's corruption there, and it's just kind of a way for the police department and different companies like tow truck companies to work together, make some money, do stuff like that, and it just hurts communities. This chief of police, from our understanding, kind of just came out. This guy was fired from a different department for stealing money and doing this type of stuff as well. He's about to get exposed. You guys are about to see. We're going to drop all the information for you guys. You're about to hear Enrique's story. Here it is, folks.
I grew up here. I've had my issues and trials and tribulations. Luckily, I've always stayed away from the law. I've tried to avoid a lot of things here. I try to support my family, my business. I stay working all the time. I'm a 2010 graduate. Over the years, we've been having a lot of police officers, police chiefs terrorizing our city. I always try to avoid them. Usually everybody talks about they try to avoid them. They try to harass you for any small little thing. I grew up in this city and I really don't see a lot of crimes. They speak about a lot of crimes. They talk about it's a hostile environment and killings every day. But if you really looked into it, if you get a graph, I would like them to understand that there are more citations given than crime. There's more citations given than stopping a crime. Like, how many crimes have they prevented? And honestly, like, I would hear from numerous people, my car's getting impounded, my car's getting impounded, my car's getting impounded. And I'm just like, man, that's terrible. Like, we're all struggling right now. Like, the economy is down. Like, everybody tells me about how bad they're doing. A lot of people bring me their vehicles for me to work on, and I hear them, hey, you know what, my car needs this, I can't pass smog. Like, it's hard times. I get it. The police here want us to pay our tags and do what we can, but just know that we are all struggling. We don't have police vehicles, or they don't let us have any vehicles that our government gives us to get to work or get to back or drive around. Like, a lot of us are struggling. Started hearing word about cars being impounded in the middle of the night. It happened to be that one night on October 1st, about 3:45 p.m., I woke up to go to work. When I went to work, I was heading out, and as I opened my front door, I'm talking to my wife. She's about to let our English Bulldog puppies, with her a month, 2 weeks, to let them out in front of our house. As I was walking out, I noticed two Arvin Police Department vehicles parked in front of my neighbor's residence, facing each other, like driver to driver. I looked, make a video, and I was like, what are they doing there? You know, probably some kind of spousal abuse or whatever the situation is. I start walking away, going to my semi to go to work, because I had to go to Sparks, Nevada. My wife's outside with the English Bulldog puppies in front of the house. They're about a month and 2 weeks, going 3. And they're outside, and my wife's like, babe, I was out there for like 15 to 25 minutes, and they were still out there with their lights off, nothing turned on, everything completely dark, just parked. I went inside and laid down. When she was laying down, started hearing a beeping noise. Beep, beep. I was like, fuck, gets up, calls me. There's a tow truck out here and they're impounding your cars right now. I was like, what do you mean they're impounding my vehicles? I was like, all right, you know what? My vehicle's on non-op, but I should get a 72-hour notice or something from the city for impounding my vehicles. Like, you know, give me some chance. Like, you don't have to impound my vehicles. So I called my brother, I called my mom. I live next door to my mom's house in Arvin, and my wife's outside, and we're trying to talk to this police officer, telling him, hey, you know what? Don't impound the vehicles. Like, we'll move our cars out of the driveway and we'll turn on the cars. These vehicles they work, they operate. Like, you could turn on with their own power, they move. They're not broken down or anything like that. And it's 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning. Like, everybody's still asleep. Like, give us a time. Like, we could turn on these cars, we could just move the cars. And they insisted, no, don't touch it. My mom calls the police department. They're impounding my son's cars. Those cars run. Don't impound them. We'll pay for the tow truck. They insisted, no, they got to impound these vehicles, and they have to. So they said, don't assist them, don't do nothing. Even though we're telling them they're dragging the cars out, you could throw the cars in neutral, you could turn them on. There's no reason for you to drag them out. They insisted, no, do it how we got to do it. So they dragged my Mustang all the way up into the tow truck to the point where my passenger wheel was sticking halfway out of the flatbed, strapped down, which I have videos and everything. And it was just like, okay, like, why are you guys doing the most for this? Like, you don't know the background of my vehicle or where that cars came from or anything. Like, that's my first car. Like, I've had that car since high school. I'm 32 years old. I've been with my wife since high school. That was our first vehicle. That's when we went to the prom with. That's when we went out to eat with. Like, that was our first car. It costed me $1,600 to get both of my cars out that same day before 12 o'clock p.m. I was struggling at that time. Everybody has their problems. Everybody has tribulations. I get it. I had no power in my house for about 2 weeks with PG&E because of my sun run to kick in and this big old mess that happened. So I had to pay $3,000 there, 1,600 for my car, 25 mortgage, 6,000 in just diesel. Like, you're coming on October 1st and end of the month. And that's when my wife started telling me Gonzalez and Rubio, they were laughing. What do you mean? Like, they were talking bad, saying that the car it's been on non-off for years and that it has no tags and that they impounded 14 other vehicles. And I'm like, what do you mean they impounded 14 other vehicles? Yeah, it's something about the impounded 14 vehicles and ours is the last one. I was like, well, how did they get to my car if my cars had no license plate? Both of my Mustangs had no license plate, so they must have walked up to my vehicle and checked my VIN number to see if my car has no tags or anything. So we get the cars out that same day. A couple of my buddies were reaching out to me and they're like, "Hey, dude, I heard your car got impounded." And I was like, "Yeah, I got it out." Yeah, like I was getting phone calls like crazy. People calling me, "Dude, your car's in the tow truck. Cops are outside, bro. They're impounding your car." I had more than 30 calls of people just telling me where my car is because the city of Arvin, the people know what that car means to me. Everybody knows me for that car. I've had it since high school. The whole community knows about that car. The council mayor, a couple different people that in there have known me and say, "I've seen you in that car as you were a kid." Thankfully, I didn't lose my car. Luckily, I had enough money. I was about to lose my car. And I started doing some investigation with a couple of my buddies that's had other problems. He's like, "Hey, that guy that impounded your car, the police chief, I'm concerned about him." And I'm like, "What are you concerned about?" I was like, "I don't know. Like, I feel like he might have changed his name or something." And I'm like, "What are you talking about, bro? Like, you're on some conspiracy theories." And he's just like, "Nah, bro, look into this." So he started sending me some documents. And I was just like, wow, we we might be onto something. So I started reading about his previous history when he was at the Maricopa County and he was in Palos as well. But this incident happened in Maricopa where the mayor confessed that they had an operation where they were impounding vehicles for profit for the city. And they were getting about 25% from Ranning's towing. He's doing the same thing here. I started doing some other investigation and I started connecting some dots.
Real quick, just for the record, can I get your name?
Yeah, first name Alex, last name Gazalper. I'm the current police chief.
Gazalper, you're the current police chief
Yes.
of Arvin, California?
Yes.
Okay. Did you also use a different last name before in the past?
No, it's always been Alex Gazarian Gazalper.
Okay. We do have an article that we found and we're going to address that today as well.
That's completely it. Thank you.
I've been working with different people that have been having similar issues, and unfortunately, not a lot of them want to come up and talk because the fact that they do terrorize you. The police department in Arvin does terrorize you. They are known for using special tactics to come at you, and I have been also noticing it. The rule of thumb in Arvin is avoid them, don't look at them, don't talk to them, and stay out their way. If any reason they could get you, they'll get you. I was wondering, why would he be impounding 14 vehicles that night? What is the issue with 14 vehicles? And then other people telling me, no, he's been doing that for weeks. What do you mean? No, he's been cleaning up the city, impounding all these vehicles. I'm like, but they don't read his past, his last name. It doesn't make sense. Like, no one looks into this. well, certain council members has brought it up, but no one does anything. And then I started wondering, well, who appointed him? And he's like, oh, the old Jeff Jones. Jeff Jones is the one that appointed him, which he appointed him. And then an article talks about he was anonymously picked for police chief. And then the old police chief, you read into his cases, talks about that they framed him. They were using secret messages to do certain things. That the police chief, when he was a sergeant, was playing clown music while he was picking up cones. And I'm just like, well, all this is on paper. What's going on? So I started reading some different articles. Talks about Nathan Hodge, the defending attorney for them, and how they make a very hostile environment with the HR lady, which is Megan Miller, which is the Sergeant Brandon Snyder's wife. So I was like, what's going on? And I couldn't make sense of it. It's still a lot of information for a lot of people. Like, it's like, oh, you're in a conspiracy theory. But he's like, nah, man, I need to talk to you. And he came over to my house. He just started showing me all this paperwork. And I'm like, dude, this is a lot. The connection between all these people is outrageous. He's like, yeah. So Randy's towing, he was doing that at Maricopa. He's using Golden Empire as the same Randy's towing and doing the same amount of thing. Because I've talked to the Sacramento DNV and they told me that they're only allowed to pay for their losses of the towing and the spot being used for their car being impounded for those 30 days that is there. They're not there to make profit. But I'm just saying, if you're impounding 14 vehicles at a time, that's a profit. Like in one night from 12 to 5 o'clock in the morning without a 72-hour hold, like your residents are asleep and you're out there just taking their vehicle, basically stealing at the night like a thief for profit. But no one seems to do anything about it. I'm like, how does this even possible? Like, you read the case what happened to the police chief, talk about he was framed, and that Jeff is real good at sending paper last minute and like pretty much postponing everything to a point where if you make a mistake, it's done. I sent a invoice to the police chief, Rubio, and Gonzalez, Jeff Jones, the city council mayor, and Golden Empire of a $4,000 invoice about all the damage done, where they made a hole to my gas tank. This was all the damages done on my vehicle. I could show you in pictures that I have. And you will see the damage. It's like, I'm not here making any profit. It's just like, when they took my car, dragged it in, that caused damage. A professional tow truck company should have used skates to take the car into the flatbed. Y'all just dragged it. And in the video, you could see it just being dragged all the way through while we told him, hey, turn on the car. It runs, throw it in neutral. What are you doing? No, you guys wanted to do it your way. And then it was supposed to go to the Lamont yard. When I talked to the guy at the yard, why does it say the paperwork say the one in Lamont, but the car went to Bakersfield? The police officer insisted to go to Bakersfield, the one in Union. Also, the police officer said, now I want it all the way over there. That's fine. I was talking to Miranda Scott, and I gave her the invoice. Said, this is damage done to my car from your towing company. Let me know if you guys could pay me back for the damages. Like, I understand you towed my vehicle. I get it, but my car was damaged in your press. When you used the forklift or whatever you used, you damaged it. Then she told me that I had to give her reasoning. Oh, how she damaged it. I said, okay, that's fine. Like, if that's what you want, that's fine. Okay, do you have video of my car in your tow yard? Yes. Okay. Can I get the video? Oh no, you could get a lawyer. Look, you want me to show you how you damaged your car? I could show you. You used the forklift and you used it to damage my vehicle. Easy as that. But she didn't want to give that information, which I understand why. After that, I filed a small business claim. I went to the Lamont court. I filled out SC 100 and 104, I believe. And when I got there, I turned in the paperwork, and the lady said, "Oh, it's $50. And you mean make sure you fill it out right. Make sure you're doing your research and turn it in." Filled it out. I turned it in to a lady named Susie at window number 5. She was on the second desk behind window number 5, and she reviewed it. And then the lady that was in front of her reviewed it as well. They were looking at it. After that, 2 other ladies rolled up. So now there's 4 ladies looking at it. And the last one that showed up was a well-dressed, tall one. And I ended up finding out her name was Mercedes. So then she comes up to me and she tells me, "Hey, we're not gonna charge you the $50 after all. We're gonna review it and then we'll call you and then we'll tell you we'll take the payment over the phone." Which I've never heard of that at all. So I was like, "That's fine." So I go home and I had to take my daughter to her MMA training classes. This is less than 2 hours. I get a phone call. I'm like, "Hello?" He's like, "Yes." He says, "This is Zuniga Motorsports Transport." And I'm just like, "What?" I was like, "Who's this? Do you fix wrecked cars or total cars?" And I'm like, "What are you talking about?" "No, I'm a transporting company." "Oh, you don't fix wrecked cars? You don't do that?" "No, I don't do nothing of that." So I was like, I'm concerned. Like, who is this person? So I saved the phone number and I'm concerned of like who's calling me. This is kind of weird. Like I just turned in this paperwork. I don't understand what's going on. Like I'm trying to put some pieces together and I'm just like, how is she calling me or who is this? So I get this phone number and I put it on my Snapchat. And right there it says her name. I give that name, I get it to my buddy Jake. Jake looks her up on Facebook. She's a dispatcher for Golden Empire. Then we look her up on Instagram, and it says right there, hashtag Miranda Scott, Vegas, hashtag Golden Girls, hashtag Golden Empire, hashtag Golden Empire Girls. What is she doing calling me? The next day, it's Friday. I get a phone call. "Oh, we're gonna take your payment over the phone." Okay, that's weird. I tell her I want to use my business card because I want everything documented. That's fine. She paid me the thing, and she's like, "All right, thank you, I appreciate it," and she just hangs up. And back in my head, I was like, "Oh, okay, so I guess it's filed." After about a day or two, it's the weekend, and I'm like, I need to go Monday, which I'm working. I didn't go. I think I went like around a Wednesday. And I'm like, you know what? I need to turn in this S-104 form, and I have like 15 days before a court date, or else it's like considered not like legit. So I call and I'm like, "Where's my paper?" No, I go over there and ask, "Where's my paperwork for the file that I claimed?" "Oh, you didn't get your paperwork?" "No, I didn't even get no case number, nothing. I need a case number because I have 15 days to give her this, and they gave me the court date." So I grabbed it, and I'm like, nothing makes sense. I don't At this point, I don't know what's going on. And this is when my buddy starts filling me in with more stuff. He's like, "Look, man, these people are hooked up all the way through." I'm talking about from the police department to the council staff to even some of the council members and the impounding yard from Golden Empire and the Lamont courthouse. Someone in there is communicating. Then he started giving me word that Miller's dad, Miller was the president and chief of the executive officer of DMV. He owns the DMV with his spouse oversees DMV's day-to-day operations. And I'm like, where are you getting all this? He's like, look, these are articles. It says right here, not to be published. And it's still, you have to dig deep into these files. So I'm like, you're telling me the HR lady, yes, did you check how much she gets paid? I'm like, no, like, what's going on? I was like, it's bigger than what you think. I'm like, what's going on? Like, who makes a 60 to $80,000 raise in 1 year? I was like, dude, you're digging a rabbit's hole. What's going on? So I started talking to him more. Making 22,000 to 96,000 in a year, that is an outrageous raise. Off becoming an HR to HR manager. And then my buddy sent me a link. Look, Jeff Jones gave that position, and they talks about that he doesn't have to post that position. He doesn't have to post anything that talks about that position being on available. So that's why Megan Miller was the only one that applied for that position. I started going to councilman meetings, and I started noticing it's the front and the right side. And then the first one is the city clerk, Cecilia Vela. And then right next to Cecilia Vela is Jeff Jones. And next to Jeff Jones is Nathan Hodge, the attorney. Right next to Nathan Hodge, you have Megan Miller, the HR lady, department, same lady that's married to Brandon Snyder, that's in the video, that doesn't even know his 10 amendments, anything that has to do with the government that he was sworn to pledge for. And I'm wondering, why are these four people always arguing with the city mayors? And the end of the day, I'm starting to notice like it's them against them. and it's always what they want. So they started talking about they want to bring this flock camera out. The flock camera, I was like, what is this about? And Jeff Jones told me, because I went to the office telling him about why did my request get denied. And he's like, well, because it doesn't have the proper dates and doesn't show the proper things. Like, I gave you the paperwork, and the beginning 2 cents talks about what time it happened and the day and what they did to damage my vehicle. And I asked him, I'm gonna need a signature and date this. Why? Because the dates are not lining up. I've done research into you, and I'm concerned that I feel you're maybe trying to bamboozle me in a way that you're trying to make this case drop out, because it says December 19th I did this case. Today's January 7th. And if you look at my mail, it says that you sent it in January 3rd, and it had 15 days for me to file it back. If not, it's considered unapplicable. I started digging more into this, started figuring out, hey, there's a paper trail that proves that Jeff Jones is known for manipulating money and manipulating the people into making outrageous amounts. There's even a case with Jeffrey, and Jeff talks about that he's misusing money and not being a good reputation of the city. I started looking into his pay wages. Guy's making over $323,000 a year. And then in the bottom of it, because he's a financial manager and the city council manager. So is he double dipping? Because I'm concerned already. It's like, you guys are literally impounding vehicles day by day to make a profit to pay for you guys because the city can't afford you. And is that why our resources are so low? Because the fact that if you look at the rest of the people they pay 30, 40 grand, 60 grand, like Brandon Snyder, 1 year went from making 50 grand to up to 186. And if you look at the dates when this is happening, it's starting to show a paper trail that whoever's in favor of Jeff Jones and making a profit of money, they're the ones that get paid the most. There's a reason why he pulls the strings. I believe Jeff Jones is a puppet master. Why else would he nominate Alex for that position? Because he knows he can make ways to make profit. Those license plates readers, they were going around the streets checking everybody's tags at night to see who they could impound in the middle of the night. I'm concerned that these tactics are to weaponize against us. I'm I'm scared for my own residents because the fact is they will keep weaponizing ways to find any type of reason to cite us. Like, are you preventing any crime from 12 to 5 o'clock in the night impounding vehicles? Like, the addresses that these vehicles are at, they're right in front where you're picking them up at, and you're taking them without no 72-hour notice. Why? Because this is all a profit scheme. I'm concerned with this paperwork that I got of the HR lady department, the city council manager, the attorney Hodge, the police chief, the police sergeant Snyder, how he talks about that, oh, he will put his police officers toe to toe against any department to anything. You could clearly see on a video, they all failed. They all failed. They couldn't even get the first one right. They were right there looking lousy. So I'm concerned of like, what is it that we have here? I would really like, honestly, something to happen to the point where the people nominate a new city council member, new HR lady. Like, I think there's a bunch of rotten apples in our city. I think it's bad. The only reason I got involved is because it got affected by me and they impounded my Mustang. And the different people working with me and showing me all these documents is like, how can I be able to show you all this in about 1 minute to not lose your interest? That is the main part, because most people are going to be like, oh, you should pay your tax, oh, you should do this, you should do that, listen to the government. Honestly, we're all struggling. I wish everybody could pass their car easily with smog and their emissions and everything's fine, but clearly we're all struggling. The last thing we need is a police chief and a city council member working together to make the citizens pay for their paycheck on a weekly basis, or pay for whatever they use it for and making their profit. Because are you there to protect and serve us, or are you here just to cite us? Because I'm starting to catch a pattern and it's getting outrageous. And I think somebody needs to look into this more before more people start losing out on multiple opportunities, because you never know who needed to work that night. You don't know if they would have lost their job. I guarantee he brought a lot of pain and suffering from all those vehicles he's been impounding in the middle of the night. Like, you're not giving your citizens a chance to do anything. What you're doing is just coming in the night and stealing from us and having your puppets get paid this tremendous amount of money to pass these certain procedures you want done. That's why on the agendas, you guys always win, because you guys, that is why you guys want that extra seat. Douglas, the city council mayor, he was supposed to get arrested or had a lawsuit for fighting 2 females. The police chief gets along with him so good, didn't write no citation, no nothing, didn't arrest him. If that would have been anybody else, we would have been in jail. I honestly think things are getting out of hand. If we don't do nothing about it soon, we might lose everything. And there's a lot of documents that you need to see, and they're to the public, but the problem is the public's not seeing these.
Do you guys like your chief? Yeah? Yeah, you're not gonna say no, especially on camera. You guys ain't gonna say no on camera. You like your chief? Yeah, you're not gonna say no on camera.
I mean, I honestly,
Come on.
I'll say this: I've been here since 2008, and I think I've been through 6 or 7 chiefs. About half of them I've liked, half of them I haven't liked, and he's on the half that I like.
Did you know about this guy's past when he got hired?
Before he got hired, no. But the thing is,
How do you like him now? Stealing money?
With the work that he's doing here, I don't have a problem with it. Because the thing is I don't even know the full story, so how am I going to make a judgment?
You guys do know that thousands of people throughout the nation are going to watch this video.
Yeah. I'm just saying, I don't know the details, so I'm not going to make a judgment off of the full details. I know what people say, but...
Yeah, I would say that the other mayor and the city manager, right, they had to be extremely incompetent to hire him without vetting him, right?
And so, I mean, that's on them. If they know the exact details, then it should have been somebody you should have been hired for.